I am a bum. But I acknowledge that. And to make it up, I am going to be reviewing 2 shows, both created by Bryan Fuller, who star 2 young women who are even bigger bums than I am. Dead Like Me and Wonderfalls. Now, Bryan Fuller is kind of infamous for having his shows being canceled painfully early before they really have time to either gain their audience or their executive meddling has ended up getting them completely screwed over. Now, I have not seen Pushing Daisies, but I have seen the 2 shows I have right now, and I actually finished Dead Like Me today, so it's fresh in my mind. I just finished watching the abysmal movie. I mean, seriously, what the fuck was that? But I decided that I was going to review both these shows together because while I really, really love Dead Like Me, I could do without Wonderfalls. So Wonderfalls is about a girl named Jaye Tyler who is a recent graduate of Brown University who basically hates people, interaction, and anything socially acceptable. So she does have this college degree, but she decides to instead work at a gift shop by Niagara Falls and lives in a trailer park in her own trailer. And she comes from a well-to-do family, but they accept what she does because they happen to be strange that way. But she has a really hard relationship with her sister, who's a high-strung lawyer and is a lesbian and has a smoking habit, and her brother, who is kind of the prodigal son almost kind of character, and he has like 1 billion degrees in religion, even though I think he's an atheist, and that's supposed to be ironic or whatever. But basically what happens is that Jaye, one day while she's fixing some kind of wax lion sculpturine, one of them comes out wrong, and I tell her to do things. So basically throughout the entire course of the show, Jaye is being tormented and harassed by these talking animals, stuffed lions, beavers, and logs, zebras, all kinds of things, snakes on t-shirt, anything that has an animal design and is inanimate will talk to her and tell her to do certain things. So she's kind of like Joan of Arc, which is what I heard this story was kind of based or kind of spoofing off of. And there's this constant back and forth of really seeing, like, is it all in her head? Or is she really being called to do stuff? What really is going on? Now, this show was only 13 episodes long, but even so, the first season of Dead Like Me was about, how many episodes long? 14. And one of them was just a very long pilot. And yet, I feel like Wonderful does not have the same sort of heart or strong characters that Dead Like Me had. I mean, the character of Jaye herself is sort of annoying, but in a different way than maybe George's, because throughout George's, the 2 seasons of Dead Like Me, we see George grow up as a character. We see her accepting her destiny and her becoming a better person, and we see that many of her jerk-like tendencies that she had when she was alive were not being received, well. They really damaged how she interacted with people in general. With Jaye, not so much. I mean, her parents support her completely, even though they have problems with what she does. Her sister may be the high-strung one, but everyone thinks she's high-strung, so it's not really a big deal. And she has a best friend. She has a love life of some sorts, and really there's nothing horrible with her life. Everything that's going wrong with it is because of her own actions, and she rarely owns up to the fact that if she wanted better, and she's completely content with not wanting much more out of her life, which is fine, except that she's not really the kind of heroine that kind of calls on you to support her or follow along with what she does. She's actually kind of dull. I mean, the characters I found myself really gravitating towards were like secondary characters, or Mahandra, her best friend, played by Tracy Toms, and even her brother's character ended up being a lot more engaging and entertaining than the main lead was. And with Dead Like Me, I never felt like I disliked George. I really cared about her story and everyone else's, but in this, I really only cared about maybe 1 or 2 characters, and that was it. And also, the side stories going on in Wonderfalls don't engage you either. Most of the time, they're just really kind of shallow. I mean, they're not horrible episodes, not to say the least. I mean, it's not a horrible show, but I just never found it to be quite interesting. In fact, while I have this with me and I'm going to keep it, I don't think I'll ever really want to rewatch this. It didn't have that kind of rewatchable feel that I felt, you know, Dead Like Me had. And since I'm comparing it to Dead Like Me, I will talk more about Dead Like Me. Dead Like Me is about George Lass, who is killed after a toilet seat from an old space station falls out of the sky and crashes on her and kills her. And she is recruited by an older man named Rube, who is also a Grim Reaper, and tells her that she is now among the ranks of the undead. And as a member of the undead, she is assigned people to reap. They will get the name, the address, and the ETD, estimated time of death, of the person, and have to find these people and take their souls before they are killed. Preferably. Like this. Love you, Train. Throughout the show, there's a whole bunch of characters who are involved. You get George, who is our protagonist. She, in the sense of that she's similar to Jane, is that she is very antisocial. But in the case of George, in comparison to Jane, it really weakens the relationship with everyone in her life. Her relationship with her mother, her father, her sister, and her coworker. She really has no one besides her family to really mourn her loss, because she wasn't the kind of person who built relationships with anybody else. She was very happy skirting on the fact that she did little, accomplished little, etc. She just wanted to be that kind of person. And part of what the show does is it shows how those relationships broke down and her becoming a more mature, more grounded, and more accomplished individual. So you see her develop as a protagonist and as a character throughout the entire series, which is kind of her appeal. You know, she still keeps that kind of like brash, monotone humor throughout the series, but at the same time, she entertains you and she grows, and you like seeing her learn how to become a Grim Reaper, how the rules work. And what's even better is that the characters are all fun and engaging. You get Rube, who is the kind of like the leader of the group. He's the one who gives them their post-its, tells them the rules, helps keep the whole gang together. He's kind of like the Papa Wolf of the entire show. And his character is great because he's kind of got that kind of like, you know, old school comfort kind of feel to him. Like, he's so old-fashioned, the way he handles things, how he treats technology. It's quite entertaining. But at the same time, you know that he's not someone you want to cross. There'll be sometimes he'll just have little lines with people that you just can tell that even though he's nice, there's something underneath him that is just, that will erupt, and when it does, it will be like. You have the character of Mason, who is a British character who died in the 60s. I think it was 1966, by trying to reach the perfect high by drilling into his head. He's a fun character in the sense that he never really grows up, but he always shows some layers of, like, not really emotional complexity, but kind of like he's not a voice of reason, but he is a different kind of voice. He keeps things light, he keeps things fun, but he always has something in perspective. So that even though, you know, when he will have arguments with someone like Daisy or George or Roxy, even though you know he's an idiot, he still kind of has a point from time to time. And even though his character doesn't develop, I think that's kind of the point of his character. And I've actually read somewhere that he didn't want his character to develop, the actor who played him. And I think that fits because he really is the kind of character who works best as being comedy relief with a little bit of depth to him, but not enough that you really feel like you're missing anything or anything like that. Roxy, who is played by Jasmine Guy, love her, she's amazing, is kind of the badass of the group, and she's also kind of the mom. I always thought that she and Rube kind of had a thing, but maybe that was just me, because of that one scene with the cake, you know what I'm talking about. But she starts off as a meter maid, and she changes professions later on in the series, and she's kind of like the hard as nails, don't mess with me, ball breaker kind of the group. And she actually wasn't around for a whole lot in season 1. She gets a lot more scenes in season 2, but nonetheless, the presence of her is always felt throughout the series. And I really love just the way, like, she would be a foil to Rube. I mean, she curses probably more so around the same as this Mason, who curses a lot. Like, every other word will out of his mouth will be profanity. But you can tell that she and Rube work well together because they have the same kind of, like, goal-oriented ways. But Roxy will kick you in the balls first, where Rube will try to talk to you first. Then you have Daisy. Daisy Adair. God, I love Daisy. The movie completely ruined her character. I don't know what the hell that farce was about. But, Daisy is great because she starts as a really shallow character. And then when you see her develop throughout the series, you realize that, like, she's really a hurt person. Like, she's the kind of person who needs attention, who needs to be loved. I mean, every story she tells people about how she blowed some celebrity from back in the 30s because she died on the set of Gone with the Wind, in a fire, and she needs attention. She's starved for it, and everything she does is trying to be the center of attention, to always trying to make things better for her, to feel something in her own life. And because she didn't feel like she had a lot of affection when she was alive, so now she's undead, she tries, like, to grasp for it. And she's also one of the characters I think that grows up the most throughout the series, along with Georgia. And so that's why it's so horrible to see that movie and just... But then the side story of Dead Like Me is Georgia's family, because she left behind her sister, who was 11, and her parents. And seeing that family unit fall apart, her sister tried to deal with the death and deal with how, you know, how her relationship with her sister was never a really good one, but now that she's gone, she can't help but miss her so bad. And her parents, who were upset with her because she didn't make the right choices in life and was very lazy and goal-oriented and things like that. And their marriage falling apart now even more so because of the death of their daughter. And all of those elements come together to make the show... It's a comedy, but it has all those elements of drama that make it really strong. And I think that's one of the best things about Dead Like Me, is how it balances the harsh realities of death with the humorisms of death. You know, you have the whole aspect of the Gravelings and, you know, the Reapers, and how, you know, they still have to have jobs and live their lives and go to work and, you know, pay rent and stuff like that, but also of just death and what that means for the people who are alive and how it affects them, and just the way sometimes people don't deserve to die the way that they do, and it's hard for you to try and not get attached to them, and when you do, what happens, and that need to want to go back and help your loved ones out, but knowing that you can't, because how do you explain to someone that you love that, hey, I'm your dead daughter and I'm coming to visit you today? Surprise. And how complicated that must be. I think that was really what makes Dead Like Me great. And even though it does have one more season than Wonderfalls does, I feel like Wonderfalls never quite had that depth, that complexity of characters that came the way that Dead Like Me had. You had those family conflicts that were more than just like, oh, the sisters don't get along. It was a whole unit, and there was a more bit underbelly to it, where Wonderfalls is a lot more lighthearted. And not to say lighthearted is bad, but I was expecting something with a little bit more bang, and it really didn't come off that way to me. And I think that after watching Dead Like Me, I really can't even enjoy Wonderfall the way I thought that I could. And I say that if you have to check out one of these shows, like, it's not even a question, Dead Like Me is the superior show. And when I finally watch Pushing Daisies, I'm going to compare the three and see, like, which one I think is best. I think Pushing Daisies will probably be better than Wonderfalls. And I don't know how it'll compare to Dead Like Me, but they both have 2 seasons, and I've heard Pushing Daisies is an amazing show. And I look forward to watching it, because this really I really enjoyed it. The movie is a mess, but I will touch on that in a second. And this, like I said again, is not a bad show. It just does not have that same sort of depth that this one has. Now, for this piece of shit. Like, first of all, they changed Daisy's actress, which completely, and like, it feels like with the actress gone, they also decided to get rid of all her character development, because in the second season, Daisy gets involved with a man who ends up being an abusive kind of asshole. And after the results of what happened then, I find it hard to believe that she would get involved with someone like she does in this movie, and so quickly too. It was as if they totally forgot that a season 2 happened. You know, Rube's character is gone in this movie. He's not in it at all. So that's 2 cast members gone from the dynamic. And there's no antagonist in this movie. I know Cameron is supposed to be the antagonist, but he's not. I mean, his demise happens way, way too quickly to be counted as, you know, for him to be a real villain. I mean, the only thing that really happens here is you see them all breaking the rules and what happens. And it really doesn't affect anyone in a way that you really feel like something's wrong. Like, you can tell it's bad, but it doesn't have that sort of calamity that you're expecting it to happen. I mean, when it happened in the earlier seasons, when someone messed with death, you saw how horrible it was and what it could lead to. I mean, that one episode where George tries to help someone miss their ticket and that whole event happens, that was really something. In here, there are little things, but it's nothing that important. The only good part of this movie is seeing Reggie, who is George's sister's character, grow up, and that whole storyline with Georgia and Reggie and also the young man involved. But other than that, this was a piece of shit. Like, I don't even know what this meant. There's no plot to it. It's just a really, really long episode with no conclusion and no good character development, nothing. It's just a piece of shit. Just to be frank, it's a piece of shit movie based on a really great show, and I don't see the point of them making this if they weren't even going to stay true to what the other parts of the show had. So it's a piece of shit. Don't watch it. Watch the rest of the show instead. But that was that, and I will see you in a few.